Hello again, we're back for another lesson in Course 2. We're on Lesson 42 today, and if you will open up your notebook, please, to the table of contents, we'll get started making sure we're all caught up with that. Our table of contents, second page, Lesson 42, and if you look where mine is, we're going to be starting on page 118. It is about repeating decimals, repeating decimals. I'm going to move on. You can pause the video if you need to and catch back up with us in a minute here. So we're flipping over from lesson 41 on page 117 and going to lesson 42 right here. And to try to dress things up a little bit, I brought some colored pens because everything's been in black and white and gray, and even trying to decorate the table a little bit brighter to add some color. So, all right, get your heading on your paper. This is page 118, lesson 42. Today's date is April 6th when I'm recording this. So we've already had our math class today, and I told you I would be posting a YouTube video. Maybe you've done those little activities that I suggested to get you caught up with thinking about decimals again and changing decimals from fractions to decimals. So, excuse me. Okay, when we look at decimals that end, so for instance, if I have 3/4 and I change that into a decimal, 3/4, the way this is done, this is very simple. I know that you all know that 3/4 is actually 0.75 or 75/100. But the way it's done is like this. We put our decimal point here, carry it up above, add a couple of zeros. 4 does not go into 3, but it does go into 30 7 times, which is 28. And when we subtract, we're left with 2. Bring down our 0, and 4 goes into 25 times with a 0 ending. We call this a terminating decimal. A terminating decimal. Okay? And terminating means it ends. It comes to an end. So this is a terminating decimal. But what about other decimals? Let's take the fraction 3/11, for instance, and let's work that one out. If we have our 3 and we divide by 11, remember the fraction bar is actually the division sign. So if we take 3 and divide by 11, again, we're going to put our decimal point here, add a couple of zeros, and bring that decimal up. 11 does not go into 3. 11 does go into 30. We're going to call that 2 times, which would be 22. And as we subtract, we're going to have 8 left over. Bring down a 0. It will go in there 7 times with 3 left over. Bring down our next 0. It'll go in there. Wait a minute. Isn't that 30? And this is 30. So it's going to go in there 2 times. For 22 with 8 left over, we'd add another 0, and we're back to the same 80 that we had before, and this 30 reflects our original 30. So this number is going to just continue. If we can check this out, we'll continue to repeat. Okay? We call this a repeating decimal. And I did not spell that correctly. Now, rather than writing the ellipsis here to show that a decimal repeats, mathematicians have agreed to use a special symbol when we have a repetend. In other words, when a decimal repeats. So this would be written like 0.27, and what part of this repeats? You can see 2727. So we're going to put this bar, this repetend, over the 27. That's the part that repeats. Now, this is your teacher talking. When you do this bar, you're going to have to be very precise and very neat about it. Because if you, for instance, did 0.27 and you got sloppy and just did something like that, I wouldn't know to include the 2. Does that make sense? So this would not be a good way to write it. I have in the past even told kids to do something like this, which is really not mathematically sound, but at least it sets it so that you know it starts here and ends here when it's repeating. But you will need to be very, very careful that your repetend bar actually displays the numbers that repeat. All right. Let's look at another one. If I have this decimal point, this decimal number right here, 6 point, nope, that's not the right one. Sorry, guys. If I have this number, 0.318181, what is being repeated here? Well, it might look at first like we're repeating the 81, but if you look, we have 3 and then a 1818. So the way this number would be written with a repetend would be 0.318 and the bar over only the 1 and the 8. All right, let's look at another example here. What if I have, and this is sample 1, if I have 0.08333 and the 3 just keeps on going, the way we would write this one is 0.083, and you only just do that once. If there's a same number repeating over and over again, you only need to put it once. Let's try letter B. 5.14285714285714 ... Okay, what repeats? I have 5.142857142857. So I think you can see that at this point, what is repeating is 5.142857. And we're going to put the bar over this whole thing. That's a long series of numbers, and I'm going to tell you that sometimes when you're doing the division, if it does not start repeating, keep going. Keep going, and then we'll tell you how far to keep going, because most numbers will eventually repeat. There's a whole set of numbers that do not repeat at all, but most will repeat. You just have to be patient and continue to divide it out. Okay, our third example here is 454.5454544 and so on. And you can see that this is starting with the 454, but it's not really 45454545 in the decimal end of it. It would look like we're repeating 454545, but we start with the decimal. And where the decimal starts is 545454. So this one would be written as 454 and 54 with the repetend over just the 54. Okay? All right, let's take a little bit of a different look at this. What if I'm given a number that already has the repetend indicated? Could I then round that number to a nearest place value? So this is sample 1 or example 1, and this is going to be sample or example 2. All right, so let's say that I have 5.316 and I have a bar over the 6, and I'm told to round to 5 places. Well, right now that number's only out to the 3rd place. What part of that number is repeating? You're right, it's just the 6. I'm going to clean that up a little bit. It's just the 6 that's repeating. So this number is actually 5.31666, and it just keeps going. And they want us to round it to 5 places. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're rounding to this place. So I look out one more number, and what will the 6 do to this 6? This 6 is greater than 5, so it will round that one up. So we're rounding our number to 5.31666, and we indicate that this number has been rounded. It does not terminate, but it has been rounded. So the symbols here, our signs, are really important. Here we have a repetend to show that the number just continues on with a 6, but when asked to round, we do draw the line, oops, and I boo-booed. It's not supposed to be a 6. It should be rounded to a 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one rounded that one up to the 7. Let's look at B. B is 25.405 with a bar over all of that. And if we're to round to 5 places, then this one's going to look like this. 25.405, we're going to round to 5 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the place I'm rounding to. This is the number that will affect the number in front of it. So the 5 or greater, means we round the previous number up. So again, we'll indicate this with the rounded sign. It's been rounded to 5.4054. And remember, this 5 rounds the 0 up to the 1. So that's how that one would look. And it's time for us to turn the page, isn't it? So head on over to page 119. So much for using your fancy colors, Mrs. Rutherford. Okay, I'll get some out. We are still on lesson 42. This is continued, lesson 42 continued, and we're now on page 119. Okay, let's look at comparing decimal numbers. Okay, comparing. Let's compare 0.3, and how does it compare, greater than, less than, or equal to 0.3 with a repetend on the top. And I think you can quite easily see that this has terminated. This one will not get any greater or smaller. It has terminated. It has end. Whereas this one is 0.33333. And we learned in a previous lesson that we can line our decimals up, add zeros at the end of the terminating decimals, because in essence, the 0 is what repeats, but it holds no value. And then line the other one up. And I'm going to ask you, which is bigger, 30,000 or 33,333? Obviously, this one is larger, and so we would indicate that with our greater than sign and our less than sign. And remember, we read from the small side of the sign to the larger sign. It indicates alligator eating the bigger one. So 3/10 is less than 0.3 repeating. All right, and let's try another one just for sample here. Let's put these in order. Let's take 0.6 with a repetend and 0.6 where it has terminated, and 0.65 which also has terminated, but it has a different number. All right, so what we're going to do here again is line our decimal numbers up. So we'll wind up with 0.666, and I'm just going to go out 3 places. Obviously, you know it continues. And then this is 0.6 with no numbers after it. And the last one is 0.65. And to make it all even, we can fill in another invisible or placeholder 0 there. So now I can look at these numbers and say I've got 650, 600, and 666. And if we are to order them from least to greatest, if we are to order them from least to greatest, then our order would go like this. The 600 is the smallest number, so we'd go 0.6. And then 650 is less than 666, so that is 0.65. And then we have our 0.6 with the repetend. So this should all be review for most of you. I'm hoping that somewhere along the line you caught on with this somewhere. I'm going to take a look at one more sample style problem. I'm going to switch out to green here, draw a line. And it's going to ask us to divide a decimal number. I know everybody's favorite thing is division, isn't it? Let's divide 1.5 by 11 and then write the quotient. A with a bar and B rounded to the nearest hundredth. Hundredth. Okay, rounded to the nearest hundredth. All right, so this means I'm going to have to put my division cap on here, and you watch and check to make sure that I do this right. 1.5 is being divided by 11, so that means my 1.5 is on the inside, and I'm dividing by 11 on the outside. Bring my decimal point up since there's no decimal here to manipulate. I'm going to add a whole bunch of zeros here for a little while just to see if the whole thing repeats or what's going on. And we may not need all of those zeros, but at least we've got it. 11 does not go into 1. 11 will go into 15 one time, and when we do the subtraction, we have 4 left over. Now, when you've got a lot of numbers going on and you're going to be having a lot of numbers, guys, I'm strongly recommending bringing your numbers down with an arrow, keeping things lined up, or even still, if you struggle with this, turn your paper sideways and let the notebook paper bars help guide you to keep those numbers in order so we don't lose track. So we're going to bring that 0 down. How many times would 11 go into 40? Well, 11 times 3 is 33. 11 times 4 is 44, which would be too much. We'll subtract that and leave a 7. We're going to come down with another 0. This time it's going to be a 6. So far nothing is repeating. 6 times 11 is 66 with a 4. Now wait a second. I'm looking at it, and is it possible that we're already starting on the repeat? Bring down our 0 again. How many times does 11 go into 40? Well, it goes in 3 times. Sure looks like it could be a repeat with 7 left over. Yep, here we go. And you can see the pattern developing. As soon as you are confident that you have the pattern, then you're ready to write the decimal with a bar over it. So this is going to be 0.1. Well, what part of it repeats, guys? The 3, 6 repeats. 1, 3, 6. So we're going to put the bar over the 3, 6 and make sure it's very clear that it's over both of those numbers. And then we want to round to the nearest hundredth. Well, right now, here's the tenths place, here's the hundredths place, and if we're rounding to that place, then we're going to check out the 6 and see what it will do. 6 is 5 or greater, so it will round the 3 up. So rounding to the nearest hundredth means we have 0.16, rounding this up, 1, 4. But what did I forget to do? I have to indicate that this is a rounded number. Please be sure to put that in all of your answers when you have rounded a number. All right, that's it for the lesson today. I am going to discuss with you in class tomorrow the practice set. And I would very much like you to give a try to A and B. I think very easily you could do all of them without any problem. So let's just take it that we're going to do the practice set as your assignment today, the practice set from A through H. And tomorrow in class, we'll go over those answers together. So that's practice set in your book. It's on page 305. Okay, guys, it's right at 20 minutes. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If you did watch it all the way to the end, I would like you to write the word ice cream at the top of your paper, and I will be sure to know that you get extra points for paying attention all the way through. Don't share it with anybody. Shh. Thank you. Bye-bye.